Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at the Melbourne Watch Co. Carlton. As is the case with all Melbourne Watch Co's, their timepieces are named after and based around a certain element within the Australian city of Melbourne. So Carlton is an inner city suburb of Melbourne, and if we turn it over, we have a key feature of that suburb etched into the case back, and that is the Royal Exhibition Building. So it's a really nice theme of Melbourne's to dedicate aspects, name their watches after and dedicate parts of their timepieces to various key sections and other buildings, etc., like that. To the city of Melbourne. So that's a nice little theme that they have running through. So kudos to them for that. So the Carlton then will cost you 495 Australian dollars. So that equates to 345 US dollars, and then in Great British pounds, that's about 240 pounds. So currently at the moment, you can pre-order it for 15% off that, so it makes it a little bit cheaper. As you can see, it's quite a smart looking watch. It's based upon 1960s styling as well. So the specs then has a 42 mil diameter. It's obviously quite a square cushion case. Has a lug to lug length of 52 mil, and then a height of 11 mil. It has a weight of 77 grams, so it's quite lightweight as well, actually. So for the size of the watch, it wears quite nicely. Oops. And it feels pretty good on the wrist as well. You know, because of the thin aspect, the low height, it fits under some cuffs and jumpers, etc., quite easily, which is good. And because of the light weight, it's quite easy to wear all day as well. So the water resistance is 50 meters, so it can handle light submersion, but I probably wouldn't risk it, and I wouldn't recommend trying to swim with it or anything like that, because it's just not the kind of watch you do that with. But if you had an accident, you can be sure that you have a measure of protection, so that's good. The movement is a mecha quartz movement, which we've seen in quite a few micro brands of late. So the movement is called the Seiko VK64. Basically, for the most part, it's a quartz movement, and then when you start the timer, it actually has mechanical components within the movement. So the chronograph aspect is actually mechanical, powered by the battery. So you get a bit of a best of both worlds. You get a cool sweeping second hand and a snapback when you are using the chronograph. But then you have the accuracy of the quartz. You don't have a running seconds hand, so you don't actually ever see the ticking second of the quartz movement. So, you know, in many, if that's one of the key features you don't like about quartz movements, then obviously this movement is a pretty good option for you. So if I just stop the movement now, I can just reset it and it snaps back really quickly. So the second hand is the chronograph second. Obviously we have the hour and the minute hand. Subdial at 9 is our 60-minute chronograph timer, and then at 3 on the right hand side, it's just a 24-hour indicator. So there we go. What else have we got? So the strap is 22 mil at the lugs, going down to 20 mil at the buckle. So again, quite a reasonably sized, good ratio to the size of the watch. And finally, obviously we have the rose gold plating. So the plating is on the main aspect of the case. If I just get it in focus, but not on the case back. I'm guessing because it's a screw-in case back, you don't want to, when you're screwing it on and unscrewing it, you don't want the two finishes to wear off one another. And then we have a matching rose gold buckle here. Okay, so let's have a look at the watch in closer detail then, and we can discuss it in a bit more depth. So thinking about the dial then, as you can see, it's a very nice silvery colour, almost like a champagne-y kind of creamy colour when you contrast it with the rose gold case. Sitting on top of the dial is a really clear sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on it, and it really makes the dial stand out. It's quite hard to show it and display it in this conservatory I'm in, but it's really nice when you've got the watch in front of you in your hands. It's really pleasant and pleasing to see how the dial and the clarity of the sapphire crystal reacts to all the light. Obviously on the dial we have all these polished aspects to it as well, which reflect the light really nicely. So the hands are all everything is rose gold to match the case. So we have the hour markers, and just mentioning the hour markers, just straight buttons, but then they have a typical Melbourne feature where we have the little tiny balls on the end as well. We can find them on pretty much all Melbourne watches, which are nice, which again is a nice little theme we see throughout. And then the hands again match exactly the same colour, and the second hand also has the theme of the M as a counterweight. So that's nice to see. When you compare the entire range, it's cool to see these little themes throughout. Looking at the subdials, we have a very slight concentric circular pattern to it as well, which provides a nice little sunburst effect depending on the angle of the light. So that keeps, you know, keeps things interesting when you're looking at the dial. Makes it look quite expensive as well when you can see it in the flesh. We have just minimal printing really. We have the minute track around the outside, and then the logo and Carlton underneath, and then obviously the markings on the subdials as well. But all the printing is very fine, very nicely done as well. No smudging or show of poor workmanship there. So the dial in itself, I think, is really nice. Quite legible as well, despite the hands being really thin. I can't really complain much about the case, the dial at all. So I'm quite quite happy with how it looks and how it's been completed. So moving on to the case. The case is rose gold plated, as I mentioned before, all completely polished as well. These pushers, I do like the oversized heads to them. Makes using them extra easy. You're not going to miss them. But also it's a nice little design cue as well. I think the crown could possibly be a little bit thinner or a bit of a different shape, but that's just my personal preference. However, it is very well machined, and if I get up close, you'll see we have another classic Melbourne touch where we have the M logo engraved on the end there. So it's just a push-pull crown, so just can literally pull it out and then adjust the time like so. Just push it back in. I'll just stop that and reset it. Moving on to the case back. As I mentioned before, it's the Royal Exhibition Building, and as is always the case actually with Melbourne watches, the case back is really well engraved, especially when you think about the attention to detail on this picture of the building. Something that you wouldn't necessarily expect. It's completely polished, as you can see as well. So this is a really nice little touch, and it keeps things interesting. You don't really want a exhibition case back because it's just an ugly quartz movement. So it's nice for them to make an effort and make something quite interesting with the case back. Then obviously we have the information around the edge. That's quite accurately done and well engraved as well. So if we move on to the strap then, we have a nice brown leather strap. Very good quality actually. Sometimes I found with Melbourne the strap could be a little bit better, but in this instance I'm actually really impressed with it. Obviously we have an alligator or crocodile pattern embossed on it, but it's very soft. It looks good. It matches the watch really well, and it's very good to wear on the wrist. Of course, another key feature of Melbourne watch codes is the classic lump in the bar of the buckle to hold the M logo, which again is quite deeply engraved, and is completely polished and rose gold plated to match the case. So that's another key feature which is really nice to see. Okay, so let me just put the macro lens on and we'll have a look at it in much closer detail. Okay, so if we start at the dial, just give it a wipe. So here we see the printing, very fine, very nicely done. We'll just turn the chronograph on. Then we look below, see the Carlton in a nice script font. Moving across, we have the subdial, the 24-hour indicator, and then the indicator for the chronograph minutes. So as you can see, everything is really, really smart, very high quality. Just looking at the hands now, very slight pitch to the main two hands you can see there, which provides a nice little difference in light reflection. Interesting to note that this is the only bit of lume you'll find on the entire watch, and that's C3 superluminova. Obviously there's not a lot of it, so it doesn't glow that brightly. So there's the M on the running seconds hand, the chronograph seconds hand as well. Just a plain straight point on that hand there. So we can see here we have the nice hour markers with the little balls at the end. Again, nice little element that's been thought out well and applied throughout the entire range. So that's a nice little touch from Melbourne. So yeah, very quite simple, but really well executed the dial is. Let's have a look at the case now. If I just give it as much a wipe as I can quickly. So here's one of the lugs. Quite a dumpy lug when you look at it. Just protrudes out just enough, basically, to hold the watch, the strap in place. And when you think about it, it's you know, you don't want it to protrude out too much because it's a cushion shaped, so it's almost a square. So you don't really want it to take in too much space more than it needs to. Here's one of the pushers. Push it in to stop this stopwatch, and then if I push it, there you go, that stopped it. And then if I show you this whilst I reset it, there it goes. So let's move on to the crown. There it is again, the M logo, very nicely engraved considering the accuracy required for that. And there's the second pusher there. So if we have a look at the case back, again I'll give it a quick wipe. Here we go. So we can see the intricacy of the Royal Exhibition building here. Very neatly done considering how complex it is. So a really nice little touch of theirs. And then we have the details surrounding that. Excuse all the lint, that's from my jumper. So there we go, very nicely engraved and finished. And this screw-in case back, so we have these little bits on the back here for your case removal tool. So finally then, let's have a look at the strap. Here's the top side of it with a matching brown stitching. And we'll have a look at the underside as well. So it's very soft on the wrist. There's a nice stamp of Melbourne there. and finally here we have the buckle. Quick wipe. Here we go. So you can see the Melbourne logo deeply engraved on that, and the polished finish to the buckle. Okay. So I've supported Melbourne Watch Co from the very beginning. I was happy and very fortunate to be one of the first people to review their very first watch, the Flinders, and subsequently I've been able to review every single release. So, you know, I've always been a fan of them. I think they offer really great watches for the money. And the Carlton isn't any different really. As you can see, it's a really nice classy 60s design, very well made as well, nothing to fault really. Everything is made really elegantly and with great accuracy, and for the price, £240, you know, you can't really sniff at that. Very good specs, a decent movement as well, which is a little bit unusual and something a bit different with the mecha quartz chronograph aspect to it. So yeah, it's a watch that I really like, and I like the way they think about the way it works with the city that they're based in, Melbourne. I really like that. It shows that they put a lot of thought and effort into the watch and what it means for them. So you can't really complain about that. And also, I know Sujane, the owner, pretty well, and he's just a really cool, nice guy. So Melbourne Watch Co, great company, and providing great watches. So this is the Melbourne Watch Co Carlton, and that's what it's all about.